One hot and humid summer evening, my friend Penny Pumpernickel and I were lounging by the pool, drinking strawberry daiquiris and talking about summers when we were growing up. My name is Cindy Willits. I'm 21, a little on the chubby side, about 5 foot tall, shoulder-length hair the color of straw, blue eyes, and a few freckles. Actually, my name is Cindy, but my baby sister couldn't say Cindy, and it came out Cindy. My friend Penny said she had so many good memories of her summers that she couldn't pick just one. So she told me bits and pieces from various summers to make one great summer story. Oh, how I wish I could relive those summer days and summer nights. Well, not the hot ones. I can recall when it got to be warm enough. It was time to put up the swimming pool. I recall the year my dad bought a pool from someone who had only used it once. He brought it home, but because it had been in storage for a year, he wanted to roll out the liner to check it out. As we were unrolling it, my mother spotted a snake and went screaming and running away and jumped onto the wooden fence in our front yard. It was only a garter snake, but that didn't matter to my mother. A snake was a snake. It was a pretty good sized pool, 4 foot deep and approximately 20 foot wide. When we put the pool up, it would take approximately 2 days to fill with water. My father decided that instead of taking it down every year, he would leave it up year-round after it was drained for the season. He built a fence and a deck around it and installed a ladder so that we could easily get in and out of the pool. I can also remember my mother waking my sisters and I up at some ungodly hour during the summer so that we could drive down by the river to get the first pickings. You know, picking red ripe raspberries and buying fresh corn from the farmers who just picked the corn that morning. Our reward in the end would be homemade raspberry jam and enough corn to feed an army. My mother would have us remove the husks and corn silks from the corn before she blanched them. She would always freeze a bunch, and we would be able to have it year-round. We would always see trucks delivering sugar beets to the sugar beet factory. Ugh, the smell. We used to go fishing off the banks of the river or in our boat that my dad and granddaddy built. It wasn't very big, but it had a little cabin so you could have privacy if you needed to go to the bathroom, a coffee can, but not a regular sized coffee can. I'm talking about one of them big boys, extra size, king size, or to take shelter when it got to be windy. Sometimes when we fished from the bank, we would take the opportunity to pick asparagus. Yep, you heard me, asparagus. There wasn't anything better to eat than freshly picked wild asparagus. There were many times we fished in the dark, but that didn't matter. My dad would just fire up the lantern and Viola, you've got light, but of course you had to hold your fishing pole so you'd know when the fish were biting. Other times we would go crawdadding. Yep, while my father was fishing for shad, my mother, my sisters and I were on the hunt for crawdads. We would use fish nets that people used for fish in aquariums. They sure were hard to catch unless you know their tricks. They loved to hide under the rocks, and when you lifted the rocks up, they would swim backwards. In order to catch them, you would have to put your net behind the rock before lifting it up. I recall one time we filled up approximately a 10-gallon Coleman cooler to the brim with crawdads, along with water from the river, to keep them nice and cool and fresh till we got home. What a feast we had that night. We had fresh crawdads and fresh corn on the cob and ate until we were stuffed and could not eat any more. I have so many memories about those summer days and summer nights. Oh, how I wish I could relive them.